that Magi greatness animated again. Today I'm going to be reviewing Sinbad no Bouken OVA 1, the Magi spin-off OVA regarding Sinbad's life and his adventures, the conqueror of the seven seas, where it all began. Now this OVA, first of all, it was handled by a different studio. It wasn't handled by A1 Pictures, so you can see in some of the character designs and their face in particular, they look slightly different. In particular, I'm referring to Yunnan. Like in his face, he doesn't really look exactly like he does in the original Magi anime. Sinbad, it's forgivable that he's slightly different because he is younger anyway, so he's not going to look identical to his older counterpart. But this OVA, what it was mainly doing was setting things up, giving you some interesting foreshadowing for later events within the series, and ultimately it was just introducing you to the world of Sinbad, where he came from and what was his life like prior to the Magi series. It was nice to get a little bit of a interesting, I guess, outlook into his life as far as his parents and seeing a little bit of them and him being born in general. And you can see how much of an incredibly great man he was going to become when at birth people were just flipping out. Like you even got Yunnan like, whoa, this is going to be a this is going to be a big thing, this kid's birth. So definitely it was interesting in that aspect. As far as the art and animation, the art was beautiful and gorgeous. Everything just looked top of the line as far as art goes. They did a phenomenal job. Animation wasn't all that as far as the movement, the fluidity of it. For the most part, it was just like subpar as far as the movements go, with the animation and whatnot. And just overall, what went down in this particular OVA, I was actually shocked at the pacing, because usually with OVAs, they tend to just grab a chunk of chapters, buttload, and then they just shove them all in there and do it very fast pacing. And that's what I expected, because this is an OVA and not a traditional anime, 12, 24 episode series. And to be honest with you, one of the things that stood out to me after watching this is they are missing out on doing something great. They could have a 12 to 24 episode season of this because of the way they were doing the pacing. The pacing in this is far greater than what they do with the regular Magi series. I will tell you that, because it is nice and slow, but it's getting to the point at the same time. I do feel that they missed out on a couple of bits that I hope they address within the second OVA, because I actually read the first chapter of the Sinbad manga just to get a feel of what was going on, and they missed out on some very interesting bits regarding Sinbad's father. I wish they would, address that in the next one at the very least, because they skipped over that. But overall, you get to see a little bit of what Sinbad's characterization is like, and he doesn't play, and he's one of those, standard, I'm the hero, I'm gonna protect, I'm gonna do everything. And sometimes you need that, and especially for somebody from the older generation. Sinbad isn't part of the new generation. He's from the older generation, carried over into the new generation with Aladdin and them. So to see that he's like that, it makes sense in a way, to see an older, traditional type of person that's, just wanted to protect everything. And it's definitely, to a certain degree, different or a slight contrast to what he is now, because the Sinbad we know now, I've said it in many of my reviews, he seems a little bit devious. He seems a little bit like, what is this guy? But you see him here, and he almost feels like he's pure. He still has his personality intact, but he seems like he's a lot more pure than what he ultimately becomes. And that just makes me like, I want to know what happens in these journeys. You see him with the fight with the bandits and whatnot, I'm going to protect people. And one of the things that I noticed as well in this OVA is because he has the first encounter, he meets Yunnan, which obviously if see Magi, Yunnan, what he is and whatnot. And you see he is guiding Sinbad slightly. He's telling him, well, why don't you become king then if you have these gripes and whatnot? So you can see that he is indirectly steering Sinbad towards what he probably either knows or feels could be his future, and that's why he was suggesting things and slightly just trying to manipulate the situation in a way, not in a devious way or like, in a foul way, but he just, from what we gathered in this OVA, he was definitely trying to pull some strings and move things along without anybody really noticing. So it really makes you look at Yunnan like, what is this guy really about? And ultimately with this OVA, it just was giving small steps into what Sinbad's life was like. It ends off with him running into the dungeon, which I like that. I honestly thought that this OVA was going to have, by the end of it, him either conquer a dungeon or something along the lines of that, because we do know that he conquered, many dungeons and whatnot if you've seen the original Magi. So I was wondering if it was going to do that. The fact that they chose a slower pacing, but yet still got straight to the point with it, was good. I really, in all honesty, watching this, I just feel as though, why are they doing this in OVA formats when this could be a full-on 24 episode series, especially with the pacing that they did. It was just really good. anime pacing for like a full-on season. So that's one of the main things that jumped out at me. And overall, it was a good introduction to the Sinbad OVAs. I know we got one more coming, but I hope we got many more to come, because this was just really good to see, you know, our favorite characters back. Well, not all of our favorite characters, but at least to see Sinbad, you see Yunnan, and also some foreshadowings. There's a character in there. He might be, I don't want to give too many spoilers, but he might be someone that we know later on. There's a character, Dragul, and getting a little bit of his characterization. It's interesting to see who he is now, and if we do know him later on. Again, I'm trying to be light on the spoilers, what he is ultimately. So, very good introduction. It wasn't amazing or anything like that. I definitely feel like if they were going to do an OVA format, it should have been just a lot more of a faster pace instead of like what they did in here, because I liked it, but I like it in the sense of this could be, you know, an ongoing thing. But since it isn't, and we only are going to have, as of right now, confirmed 2 OVAs, I would have liked to, by the end of the first OVA, him either conquer the dungeon or something really major happen. For the most part, it was setting up for him to go into the dungeon, and, you know, he enters the dungeon and whatnot. So, overall, it was a pretty good one. I'm going to give this one anywhere from 7.5 to an 8. I'm kind of torn where I want to give it, either a good or a very good. So, I'll leave that up to you, 7.5 or an 8. Ultimately, the score for this one. Again, animation wasn't all that, but the art was beautiful and gorgeous. The setup and the introductions and characterization was pretty good and solid. And yeah, it was just a nice little OVA. I would have liked a little bit faster pacing since we aren't going to have a full-on series, but I'll take what I can get. And it was just a fun and nice treat to see Sinbad animated and get the early days of this man that will become so great later on in life. But let me know what you guys think. If you've seen the Sinbad no Bouken OVA, did you enjoy it? What did you think? If you were a manga reader, do you feel that they skipped too much important content with this one? Again, they glossed over some things that I hope they cover in the next one, but I liked what they did with this one. It was nice pacing. Hopefully the next one is just phenomenal and blows this one out the water, but we gotta wait and see. That's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or you enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.